Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So we've already done the October month ahead forecast. You can find that video on the month ahead forecast page. You get to that from buttons here on the home page. Going to be quite an unsettled October, I think. Starting off reasonably settled, but I think we will get a deterioration as we go along. And maybe quite cool as well this October also. But I'll let you have a look at that forecast, see what you think. This video is going to cover the weather next week to 10 days in detail. So it takes us to kind of like around the 12th of October. I'm going to go through the first week to 10 days of the month. With this update. Of course, very windy weather today, although winds are beginning to moderate now, but a real blow up in the north. We'll see whether this is going to continue in the coming week or so. We'll start off with Central England temperature though, because it has updated for September. We have September's number in. This is revealed at the start of the October month ahead forecast, but for anybody that hasn't seen that forecast yet, I thought I'd just start off with this second video with this. So, September coming out at 13.5 degrees, an anomaly of just 0.1 of a degree below average. So, let's say about an average September in terms of Central England temperature. That's set against 61 to 1990 though, which is quite a cold temperature average. If we was to set this against a more modern average, a warmer average, like 81 to 2010, then it would be a bit cooler, a bit colder than average, actually, this September. And that carries on from August, of course, which again came out close to average, set against 61 to 1990, but was a bit cooler than average, set against 81 to 2010. And this all started in July, which was a cooler month, above average, to 0.7 of a degree above average. But much less of an anomaly compared to the months before that. From February to June, we was running around 2 degrees, in some cases even above 2 degrees, warmer than average. A change took place in July where the average dropped down, or the anomaly dropped down, much closer to average. It's continued through August, it's continued through September. We wait and see what's going to happen in October. Of course, we've got the first day of October in, and it's very warm, 14.3, an anomaly of 2 degrees above average, but that's just provisional for the first day of the month, and I would expect that will reduce a lot in the coming days and weeks. We'll keep you posted, of course. Haven't yet got the full September precipitation and temperature anomalies in for the UK. They haven't updated the UK Met Office yet, but once those come in, we will, of course, let you know exactly how September played out in terms of the UK anomalies. Right, let's look forward then, and we've got the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts here from the Penn State University website. The ECMWF is on the top, the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. So on these charts, red is extrapolating to high pressure, and blue will be extrapolating to low pressure. The ECMWF is placing quite a big ridge of above average heights to our north and northeast. That's quite a significant blocking feature that we've got there. It also extends to the south of Greenland and out into the Atlantic. And then across Europe, we've got this pretty deep trough sitting here across eastern parts of Europe. It's a very complicated looking pattern, but it means that the flow is going to be doing something a bit like that. So we might be pulling the wind in from sort of an east-northeasterly type direction over the next week to 10 days. Watch out for low pressure in the Atlantic, possibly to start undercutting this ridge, particularly if we get through into the second week of October. That becomes more of a possibility, I think. And if that happens, we might start to turn things quite a bit wetter, especially down in the south. The GFS is looking like this, and it is quite significantly different. So we have got that area of above average heights to our north, but it's much further to the north actually. It's going up towards the north of Scandinavia, also connects in with the mid-Atlantic ridge that we've got here. But we've got much more of this trough underneath it across not just the UK but many western parts of Europe. So we're doing something a bit like that with the flow with the jet stream. So that's a much more unsettled situation, especially as we go through into the second week of October. We'll be turning things a lot more unsettled with that kind of setup. It's quite a complicated setup though, and quite unusual. So I expect further chopping and changing really over the coming few days with these updates. Right, GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at Torquay today. Somebody has asked if we can have a look at Torquay. So, dealing with the upper air temperatures first of all. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average at Torquay. Going to be close to average. We have got a bit of a warmer push up coming up just there, but overall, really, temperatures in terms of upper air temperatures anyway, hovering very, very close to that 30-year temperature average. So nothing particularly exciting going on there. In terms of precipitation, well, a lot of dry weather to come at Torquay actually over next week. Plenty of dry weather coming through then. Although in the second week of October, that's this period just here, it is in the extended part of the model, but you'll notice suddenly a lot more precipitation spikes appear then into the second week of October. So this implies that although we may be starting off fairly dryish the next week or so, first week, 10 days of October, might turn very significantly more unsettled into the second week of the month. These are the surface temperatures and precipitation ensembles from the GFS model. So what we see here, first of all, with the surface temperatures, is that for Torquay anyway, we're flatlining quite a lot. So that's 15 degrees just there, that's 10 degrees just there. But you see that virtually throughout, really, the ensemble is keeping things in that sort of ballpark, somewhere between around 10 and 15 degrees Celsius, both by day and by night. Now, keep in mind, this is down in the far southwest of England. It's a coastal town, close to the Gulf Stream. So it's one of the most temperate parts of the UK. If we look somewhere inland, such as Birmingham, I think you will see quite significantly cooler nights being indicated there. But certainly gives you the idea that by day, temperatures aren't going to be all that far from average, somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius. I expect nights inland to be cooler than that showing. And then we've got the air pressure, of course. So we're starting off at around 1,020 millibars. And to be honest, for the next week or so, we're going to be keeping relatively high pressure going. So through to around the 10th of October, looks like got relatively high pressure, but notice quite a substantial drop in air pressure taking place here through the second week of October and into the middle part of the month. So this ties in with those precipitation spikes that we saw appearing for the second week of October. Now, this is in the extended part of the model, so there is unreliability, but certainly reasonably good agreement. But after a fairly dryish first week, 10 days of October, we might see something very significantly more unsettled coming along in the second week of the month, taking us up to the middle part of October. Temperature anomalies for the next week. This is going from the 2nd to 10th of October, coming out very, very close to average. No real deviation with those. Precipitation anomalies are coming out drier than average. So it's going to be a relatively dry opening week or so to the month. I think we've already established that, but the interest, I think, is beyond the first week, where we might start to see more unsettled conditions coming through. So near normal temperatures with dryish conditions for the first week to 10 days of the month. Let's just run through the GFS and ECWF models then. So this is how the GFS is looking for Friday. We've got high pressure out to our southwest, bringing the wind down from the north-northwest. That could be quite chilly. Moving through to the weekend, we keep a ridge maintained close to the country with the GFS, so it should be a lot of dry weather going into the weekend. I think it'll be fairly chilly, especially so at night inland. Expect some quite cold nights, maybe ground frost cold over the weekend Could be some mist and fog patches around as well. But we are under a ridge, so overall the weather at the weekend shouldn't be too bad, fairly quiet. That carries us into the start of next week, but then later next week, this is to Tuesday the 10th of October, when we find the ridge beginning to pull back into the middle of the Atlantic, and we're starting to bring low pressure back in from the north and northwest. And it turns more unsettled then as we go through into the middle part of next week. Low pressure is slipping into the UK as a trough. Notice this high pressure is pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic, so we've got a mid-Atlantic ridge going on here, and that's beginning to force the jet stream southwards, so that's taking this trough of low pressure southwards, not just through the UK, but through Western Europe as well. We've also got hints of high pressure up here to the northeast of Scandinavia. We've gone to day 10, but we've got a little bit out beyond day 10. This takes us to Friday the 13th of October. You see we're firmly in an unsettled pattern now. Low pressure is across northern parts of France. We're on the cool side of the jet stream doing something like that, and we're within a trough actually within the 500 millibar flow, and the wind is coming in sort of from an east-northeasterly direction, so that's much cooler and much more unsettled through the second week of October with the GFS. What about the ECMWF? Finally, so this is how the ECM is looking for Friday. High pressure out to our west, low pressure in over Scandinavia. That's quite a deep trough that's in over Scandinavia, and the wind is pulling down from the north-northwest, so chilly at the end of the week. And then this ridge built in over the weekend. That's going to give us plenty of quiet weather, I would have thought, over the weekend. Watch out for some quite cold nights, possibly to ground frost levels inland and in rural areas, and also might be some mist and fog patches as well. High pressure continues through to the early part of next week, and then it all goes rather different to what the GFS was just showing. So we saw this on the height anomaly, much more in way of a high pressure influence through next week from the eastern area. But that high pressure is going up to Scandinavia. So what's actually happening here is that the high pressure is in over Scandinavia. This area of low pressure is trying to come in off the Atlantic. It's all being forced down from the energy that we've got around here to the south of Greenland. Instead of this energy going west to east, as it would typically do so, it's actually going northwest to southeast in that sort of area because of this blocking ridge that we've got over Scandinavia. So in a different way, we probably do actually finish up very close with the ECMWF. If we could extend out another day or so with these, we can't, we can only go up to day 10, but if we could extend out another day or so, we would probably finish up very similar with the GFS, with the ECMWF, to where we was with the GFS, which is for low pressure to be around here, and the wind probably to be coming in from a east or northeasterly direction. It just takes a different route to get there, but I think that if we could go out another 24 hours, this would look really quite similar to that. So I think what we're looking at is a reasonably dry and fairly mildish few days coming up. It turns a bit cooler though over the weekend. Maybe some ground frost and mist and fog, but a lot of quiet weather through the next week once we get today's winds out of the way. Could be some wet weather on Wednesday, by the way. Quite uncertain what's happening with that. But overall, not too bad for the first week of October. I think we're looking at the second week to potentially be quite a lot more unsettled and potentially turning cooler with the wind going into the east or the northeast as well. All looking quite interesting at the moment. We'll keep you posted, of course. Don't forget to check out the October month ahead forecast if you haven't yet done so. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.